Hi everyone, welcome to Eve Talk. I am your host, the Lone Wolf, and as usual, I'm right here in Jita. So let's head over to the captain's quarters to take a look at the market today. In the meantime, I guess I can tell you guys that the Alliance tournament is starting today. So if you want to follow that live, head over to the Eve Online website. I'm sure you'll be able to find the link to the streaming of the Alliance tournament. I'm definitely going to try and watch as much of it as possible. And let's take a seat and have a look at the market. We'll start with the usual, some of the minerals. So titanium, and let's have a look here at buy and sell orders, because I do expect the graphs to still be problematic. Sellers 689, buyers 672. I think that's slightly up from last week, but there's definitely also a larger margin, almost 0.20 ISK. I think the last time it was like 0.02 ISK, something like that. And the graph, yeah, it still looks pretty difficult to get anything out of it, although the one data point that seems to be corrupt is around 13 ISK. And we can see a slight uptrend. I think if we look at the 3-month chart here at the end, we're having some more solid data points over 650, I would say almost 7 ISK. Yeah, so there might be a slight uptrend in titanium. If I look at this chart, we'll go for pyrite next. Always going to the station, 12.80 and 12.35. So sellers 12.80, buyers 12.35. I think that's up from last week. Wasn't it around 10 ISK then? Yep, absolutely. Last week we had around 10 ISK for pyrite. Right now looks like the price has settled at least 2 ISK higher, and that's a pretty big jump right here. Actually, there's still one corrupt data point again above 25, but an uptrend right here in pyrite. So people are I guess there's a lot of demand for minerals at the moment. Could have something to do with the war that's coming. And then finally the Mexalon, which is of course the third easily available high-sec mineral. Let's have a look at the orders here. Yep, up as well, 59 ISK and 58 for the sellers. So although it's also not very visible, as there's still a corrupt data point at around 250 ISK, this week I should report an uptrend in mineral prices, especially the high-sec variants. So we'll see if that translates also on the ship market. Let's have a look at the Talos price. This chart, yeah, at the end, well, it's coming from. No, I would say there's a slight uptrend in the Talos as well. There's usually going to be a slight lag between the mineral price changes and the ship price changes. Sellers in station 82 million, buyers 76. That's pretty much the same as last week. But I do expect a slight uptick as well here if you see at what the minerals are doing. So could be an interesting week for the Tech One chips. Let's have a look at the Drake. Probably one of the most popular hulls. 50 million 49. Yeah, hanging on, pretty stable. We'll see if it plays out, but I'm expecting a slight uptick in Tech One ships next week. Let's go for the Plex, of course, which is probably the most important commodity on the market here. Sellers 482.5 million, buyers 474.5 million. The chart, slight uptrend here at the end, I would say, from last week, although there's a strange data point very low, below 420 million. So I guess somebody had to get some ISK very urgently, which is an interesting market to keep an eye on, the Plex market, especially with the war coming up. You could see some Plex dumping if one of the parties in the war needs a lot of ISK all of a sudden. So it's something to keep a close eye on, I think, if you're an active trader. And then finally, in the previous video, I had two recommendations for stuff to check out. So the first one was, oh, that's wrong, melted nano ribbons. So that's loot from the wormholes. The chart, 3-month chart here, downtrend that has stopped around June 10th, and then an uptrend again. So let's have a look at the prices. 6,750,000 ISK for the sellers and 6.5 million for the buyers. Pretty interesting that we're seeing an uptick here. I think the downtrend is due to general activity in wormholes that has increased quite a lot, so there's a lot more supply. But now we're seeing an uptick again. This could have something to do with the announcement that Gunswarm are considering a Tengu fleet setup for them. So that could be either some speculation on that, or just them buying quite a lot of these melted nano ribbons to prepare Tech Tree stuff. So let's have a look at that Tengu then. I think that could be pretty interesting as well. Tengu price, that same downtrend until June 10th, but then although, as you can see, this lag between the raw materials and the ship changes is here as well, so a bit later than June 10th. You can see that it has stabilized quite a lot, and maybe a slight uptick at the very end. So it's going to be an interesting market in the Tech Tree, I think. Sellers 221 million, buyers 216 million. I think that historically that's not a very high price for a Tech Tree Tengu. No, you see, even before this is the 1 year chart, around 200 million was a normal price. We've then had a rise to almost 280 million, some data points even at 300 million. Then we had a correction again, which is 3 months, something like that. No, that's even the tail end of it, maybe even more. Yeah, 5 months, I would say. A heavy correction back around 200 million, 220, something like that at its lowest. And then now we might see once again a turnaround, I think a bottom maybe for the Tech Tree market, if Tech Trees will become used heavily in this upcoming war. So that was definitely a good suggestion, I think, to have a quick look at the Tech Tree market. Pretty interesting one. And then finally, a shout out to Eve Central. If you're a industrialist or a trader, that's one site to constantly have open on a second screen. Eve Central, a lot of information can be found there for doing successful trading, doing successful manufacturing, finding the best prices for your goods, stuff like that. It's one that I don't actively use that much myself. From time to time I check it out a little bit when I'm in a trading mood. But if you plan to do a lot of trading in EVE Online especially, I would say it's one of those sites that you have to have in your favorites and that you should check out on a regular basis. Anyways, if you have any other suggestions of goods that you want me to check out on the weekly EVE Talk, feel free to post them in the comments and I will try to cover them as well. And I will see you guys next time.